Thank you for joining us for this video. This is a follow-up to our COVID-19 and the dental hygienist webinar from last week. I'm joined by Ann Lynch, our Director of Advocacy and Education, and I am JT Mackey, your Government Affairs Manager. In today's video, we'll be looking at questions that were submitted regarding unemployment benefits, and we'll get started now. And we received a lot of questions during the webinar regarding unemployment benefits and the stimulus package, which provided a $600 additional benefit on top of the state unemployment benefits. And a lot of hygienists wanted to know, do they have to do anything extra to receive those benefits?
Sure, great question. This is an area of good news. And the very simple answer there is that no. Once you apply for your state unemployment, the $600 additional benefit is automatically calculated into any benefit amount that you might be eligible to receive. A few other comments surrounding the $600 additional benefit. That benefit is available to both part-time and full-time employees. It doesn't matter what your previous salary had been. You're eligible for the full $600 a week additional benefit. Important to remember, I think, that the $600 will be calculated as taxable income for folks. And the benefit is currently slated to expire on July 31st of 2020. So I hope that answers a number of those questions.
Just to follow up, Ann, some hygienists have already started receiving their unemployment benefits from their state, but they might not have seen the $600 come through. Is there any reason why that might be?
Yeah, I heard varying reports across the country, and frankly, a lot of state unemployment offices have been overwhelmed and inundated with claims. But all states have received this additional stimulus from the federal government.
Okay, let's move on to some other questions we received. A lot of hygienists are interested in unemployment eligibility, and as you were saying, this might vary by states. Regarding job searches, a lot of states require unemployed claims to file weekly job searches. How are they supposed to do this in this unprecedented time where there really aren't jobs available?
Yeah, great question. And I'm happy to report that most states have implemented flexibility in this regard and have waived these requirements. So again, this is something that you would want to check with your state unemployment office. Most of those agencies have handbooks or guidance or FAQs available on their website, and that would confirm that information.
And we know that a lot of hygienists work in several different offices. If you work in multiple offices, are you eligible for unemployment?
Sure. When you apply for unemployment, you will be asked to report all of your sources of income. And so in that case, with multiple offices, you would be reporting the monies that you received from your various places of employment. And together, that would help to inform what your eligibility benefit would be.
Related to insufficient work history, can a new hire apply for unemployment benefits?
Sure. Good point. Traditionally, there are work history parameters or eligibility criteria for unemployment benefits. Due to COVID-19, this is another area where states have exercised flexibility or provided waivers. It will vary, depending on your individual situation. But again, I want to stress individuals that are out of work due to COVID-19, significant reduction in your hours worked should really apply for state unemployment to determine for that individual what their benefit amount might be, what their eligibility is.
And if a dental hygienist lives in one state but works in a different state, how do they file for unemployment, and where will that $600 benefit come from?
Sure. You would apply for unemployment in the state in which you're employed. So if I work in Minnesota, but I live in Wisconsin, I would apply in the state of Minnesota. The $600 benefit, again, is directly tied as a part of your unemployment claim. So you, again, would not need to do anything additional to receive that additional stimulus funding.
And lastly, if I am earning vacation time through my employer and I am unemployed, do I have to use up all my vacation time before I collect unemployment?
That's a very common question, and one that's not easy to answer. Again, state requirements vary. The first thing that I would suggest is to have a conversation with your employer. I think, opening those lines of communication is perhaps more important now than ever. With regard to your unemployment benefit that you might be eligible for, you will be asked questions about, what has been your salary history, if you've received any type of severance package or any paid vacation. All of those factors will come into play with your benefit amount. I would point out through the federal stimulus package, there's a provision referred to as emergency paid sick leave. That provision has a specific eligibility criteria. And if you are eligible for that emergency paid sick leave, it was designed so that employees would not be required to use their PTO. It was also designed with the intent to provide that coverage for the many employees who do not have a PTO benefit. So that was a really long answer to a very short question, but the bottom line is that it really is based on an individual case-by-case basis, depending on the state in which you are employed or were employed.
Moving on to some other questions. This is regarding dental hygienists who are employed through temporary agencies or just in one office for one time. What type of unemployment benefits do they qualify for? Similarly, if you're an independent hygienist, are you eligible for unemployment benefits?
Great questions, and really important to the dental hygiene community in so many instances. Through the federal stimulus package, there's a provision that's called pandemic unemployment assistance. In many of the cases that you just described, JT, traditional unemployment benefits and eligibility criteria would not cover these individuals. However, during this pandemic, through the stimulus that Congress has provided, I'll underscore here once again, if you are out of work if you were a temporary dental hygienist or an independent dental hygienist or a regular practicing hygienist, if you are out of work due to COVID-19, you should apply for your state unemployment benefits. Each state will determine your eligibility and the benefit amount, but do know that there have been accommodations and considerations included in the stimulus package seeking to provide benefit to individuals in these cases.
And towards the bottom, we have a question from a student. For recently graduated dental hygienists, is someone eligible for unemployment benefits?
Sure. There's accommodation for, and this is not specific to dental hygiene, but to professions across the board, for individuals that may have had an employment offer, but were unable to begin work due to COVID-19. Those individuals should, again, apply for unemployment because there have been some accommodations made for eligibility in those instances. If you're a recently graduated dental hygienist, the question back to, am I eligible for unemployment? That would beg further questions. Does this individual, were they working? It's not clear to me whether or not they've just graduated and weren't working, then in all likelihood would not be eligible for unemployment. Again, case by case basis. Bottom line is, if you're out of work due to COVID-19, apply for your state unemployment.
And we had some questions on other issues related to unemployment. If I'm receiving something like a medical insurance benefit through my employer and I lose it during this pandemic, is there any way of receiving health insurance elsewhere?
Sure. Some employers have chosen to lay off employees and may offer to continue to provide health insurance coverage for them for a set period of time. Those are individual decisions made by the employer. There is a provision, it's called, referred to as COBRA, whereby if you are out of work and you have previously had health insurance and wish to continue that coverage, there is a mechanism through COBRA which you can continue to have that medical insurance. For those situations, I would recommend working with your employer, expressing your interest in continuing to pay for your medical insurance.
We received this next question from a lot of different dental hygienists who are asking about their employer applying for a small business loan. Sometimes it's referred to as the Paycheck Protection Program. Would you recommend staying on payroll or continuing to pull unemployment?
Sure. All of these questions have so many pieces to them. I think for starters here, I would recommend, there are employers that are in the process of applying for the small business loans. Even during that process, not knowing how long that process will be, not knowing what the end result will be of that loan application, I encourage employees to apply for state unemployment benefits, even during that time. From the employer's standpoint, assuming that a loan is granted, that period of time whereby the Paycheck Protection Plan is in place starts when that loan is initially dispersed. So any time leading up to that window of time whereby you are out of work and your employer potentially is working to apply for the paycheck protection, the employee may be eligible for unemployment. And that eligibility or benefits received has no impact on the loan process or whether or not the employer will receive that loan. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, I think just to summarize, Lisa, that small business loan is not guaranteed, and so applying for unemployment benefits will provide some relief to the dental hygienists when they are out of work, and they should wait to see if the loan is approved.
Yes, absolutely.
I think, Anne, you could just summarize this for us. If I'm out of work or have reduced hours, what should I be doing right now?
Right. Apply for unemployment. Very quickly, the $600 a week benefit until July 31st. So the benefit amount has been increased as well as the duration of any benefit. It's right now, benefits are eligible to be claimed for up to 39 weeks. And we discussed the unique eligibility requirements for those that are self-employed and independent contractors, or perhaps individuals that have insufficient work history. And if you are in that category, again, and out of work, recommend applying for state unemployment. That's a lot of questions that we've received from dental hygienists all across the country. I'm really pleased that we had this time today to try to offer clarification and seek to provide some guidance and answers. While ADHA is not the unemployment office or the Department of Labor, we certainly are here to help you navigate through these uncharted waters. I invite you to visit the ADHA COVID-19 resource site. The address is provided there on the screen. We update information there very regularly as new information becomes available or the COVID-19 situation continues to evolve. ADHA also invites your questions related to COVID-19. We have established a dedicated email for these questions, and we are working to process those questions daily. You can respond or send questions to that dedicated email that appears on your screen. I should also mention that on the resource site, we will have also a series of questions, FAQs. Again, the list continues to grow and the answers, we continue to add information as it becomes available. Happy to be a resource for everyone. Be well, and thanks for tuning in today.